Okay guys, so this time we're gonna go ahead and replace the lowering struts on this truck. As you can see, it already has some struts already on here. Some lowering struts, all we're gonna do is replace them since they're blown out. But I'll go ahead and show you how. Okay, so here's the Belltech lowering struts. Here's your part number, 25009. You get your bottom half, your strut assembly. Comes with the spacers needed to either lift or lower your truck. And then it comes with this manual, pretty much. And the manual tells you what you need to know as far as your torque specs, the installation steps if you need it. Pretty simple stuff. Okay, so pretty much this is what you're gonna need. Okay, you got your spring compressor, breaker bar, you might need it, you might not. 21 millimeter for your lug nuts, some extension, 8 millimeter for the strut. You can also use this one for the strut as well. You might need a chisel just in case one of your bolts don't want to come out really. Your 19 for your lower mount bolt. And then another 19 for the other side of the lower mount bolt. Your marker, you might want to mark your top hat. And you got an 18 millimeter for this is for the sway bar. Okay, to hold the sway bar from moving. And then you got your 18 millimeter for the sway bar as well. Or you can use this one, whichever one works for you. Then you got your 14 millimeter for your strut, the strut nuts up top. And then you got your 17 for your sway bar mount bolts. That way when you loosen them up or whatever. 3/8 ratchet. Hammer just in case. Your torque wrench. And then your impact if you're using an impact. Pretty much it. It's pretty much all you're gonna need really. And you can also get some penetrating fluid. That way you can soak the bolts a little bit before you start. It'll help you. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so as you can see, I went ahead and lifted it up. Pretty much from the center support of the front cross member. Okay, just pretty much go ahead, set your jack here in the middle. Put your jack stands on this side, one on this side. Okay, as you can see, I have one jack stand here, one on the other side as well. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the jack. That way we can lift up these wheels and on both sides and do them both at once. Okay, as you can see, the wheels are still technically on the floor. We'll go ahead and grab the impact. We'll start taking the tires off. This is a 21 millimeter, by the way. Go ahead and do the other side. Okay, so once you loosen all your lug nuts, what you want to do is leave one of them on. And then we're going to go ahead and put one jack under this lower control arm and one other jack on the other side as well. Okay, as you can see, I got both wheels pretty much off the ground. Now we can go ahead and remove the wheels. This is how I have this set up. I have two jacks in the middle support You just want to jack up each side. Just lift it up enough to the point where the wheel comes off and starts lifting up the vehicle a little bit. And then we can take off the tire and then we'll get to the next part. Now I want to give you guys a quick tip. Go ahead and grab some PB Blaster. Go ahead and wet all the threads that you're going to be working on. It will make the process a little bit easier. So just go ahead and spray those, and then spray your strut studs. Go ahead and spray all 3 of them up top. Spray your lower mount for your strut. You can spray that if you need to. Pretty much why I'm replacing this. As you can see, the strut is blown. The shock in the strut is blown. Okay guys, so I kind of just want to point something out to you guys when you're doing this. As you can see, I have both jack stands in the metal support. I got a jack stand on one side and a jack stand on the other side. If you're doing if you want, you can do one at a time or do both of them at the same time. But the main reason you want to put a jack on your A-arm and then have a jack on the support is because you will need to either lift or lower in order for this sway bar end link to just push out. Just like this. Okay? So that's the reason why you need a jack under your lower arm. As far as tools for removing the sway bar end link, just an 18mm 3/8 ratchet with an 18mm as well. I started off with this one. Once the nut started bagging out, I went ahead and just put this one on and got it out. Okay, so now you want to go ahead and remove your jack out of this area or whatever side you're working on. Okay, so now for this next part, you're going to go ahead and remove your 19mm. They're both 19mm on each side. You can use an open end wrench like this one on one side and use your impact. If you have an impact, you can use an impact here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so once you take your bolt out of your bottom mount, you want to go ahead and start removing the upper strut tower bolts, or actually the upper tower nuts. There will be 3 of them. There's one right there, one right here, and then there's one far back over there. So pretty much removes all the nuts off the studs. Now you can go ahead and remove your strut tower here. You can always push down on the lower control arm. It'll give you a little extra room, but it should be able to come out just like that. Okay, so if you're having a little bit of trouble trying to get this strut actuator out, if you're having trouble getting the strut out, what you can do is loosen up your sway bar links right here, or loosen up your sway bar bolts right here. Should be 17mm. Just loosen up this side, this one, and the other 2 over there. You don't have to remove it completely, just back out the bolt enough to the point where you can push down on this, push down on the sway bar. That'll give you that extra little clearance that you need to get the strut out without a problem, which is going to help you when you go back to assembling it. Okay, and just like that, it's pretty much out of here. Now you want to go ahead and repeat the same process on the other side, and I'll go take care of that right away and I'll get back with you. Okay, so now comes the fun part. We're going to go ahead and install some spring compressors on each side of these. Of course, we're going to do one at a time. Now let me go grab them and I'll show you how I set these up, and we'll get these taken off. Okay, so here's the AutoZone brand that you'll need. Spring compressor, you're going to use 2 of these. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and set them up. Now we can just compress the spring and remove the spring from that assembly. Okay guys, so this is pretty much how I'm setting up these spring compressor tools. I got one of these with the what's it called? with the nut on this side, facing towards the bottom. Then I have the other one over here facing upward to the top of the strut here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and crimp all this down. I'm gonna go ahead and get this pressed down, and then I'll return back to you. And as far as the size for this will be a 19 millimeter. You can use an open end wrench for this, or you can use an impact. Just be very careful whenever you're working with these, as always. You know, just be careful and mindful of these things. Once they go under compression, they could hurt you, so just be mindful of that. Which I already ran this down, okay? A good way to know is just if you look in this area right here, you should be able to see, you should start seeing the gap. Here's one of the rings that you use to space out the bottom of the strut. Okay, so now that the spring is compressed and you verified you got good amount of play here, you can move this around. You can go ahead and take off the top hat. Okay, and then for the top hat, you're gonna use a 18 millimeter here. Okay, and then you're gonna want to grab a 8 millimeter to stop it from spinning. Okay, so now let me go ahead and disconnect this, and then I'll get back to you. Once you take off the nut, just go ahead and pay attention to how these things come off. It will make it a whole lot easier to reinstall it. So just kind of put them how they go. Okay, just like that. Okay, actually you want to go ahead and take off this little spacer deal here. Okay, like that. Now you can go ahead and remove the hat. Okay, like that pretty much. It's gonna be like this, like that. Your washer on top. Okay, and then your nut. So just keep paying attention to how these things come off, okay? That's pretty much it for this. Okay, for a 1-inch drop, you're gonna grab your 14 millimeter spacer. So as far as rings, depending on what type of drop or lift you want, this is the type of spacer you're gonna use. These are gonna go under the hat. Okay, these spacers go under the hat. Okay, so let's go ahead and start reinstalling this. That'll be the first one. Okay, you want to grab your hat. Okay, once you got your hat. Okay, so this little vent disc, okay, it has this. When you look at the instructions, it's a little bit different now, so I guess they updated this. And this, you know, you would think it would go like this. The picture diagram in the book shows you like this, that it's supposed to go like this. But in all honesty, I don't think it matters much whichever way, as this is already vented. So I'm just gonna go ahead and install it as the book shows. Okay, so once you have that, you wanna grab your spring. Okay, when you look at your spring, you wanna make sure that this side is facing down, and the side that's more open, you wanna make sure that that's your top side. Okay. So when you go to install this, you want to make sure that this is in line here, like this, something like this. Or your spring, go ahead, slide in position. Okay. So technically it should look something like this. At this point, if you look at it, it should be something like this. Okay, now we want to go ahead and start adding the boot. Okay. You want to go grab one of these little grommet here. It'll be pointing up, with this facing up. Okay, like that. Then you're gonna have your hat here. Okay, so like I said, you have this little hole here. You wanna make sure that this hole is in line with this right here, okay? Okay, just make sure that this little hole here, this little rubber grommet comes up through this little center hole right here pretty much. If so, you might need to tighten it down a little bit more. Okay, so we pretty much have this hole in line already with this bottom piece right here. With the bottom mount, you want to make sure this hole is lined up. Okay. Now you want to go ahead and grab your little sleeve here. Go ahead, slide it all the way in. You want to grab your other little grommet here like this. This is facing down. Once you have that, you want to go ahead and grab this washer. Okay, this facing down. Like that. You want to go ahead and grab your nut here. This is a 18 millimeter. Okay, once you get it nice and tight, like I said, just make sure that this is pointing outward and then that the bottom mount here is in line with this right here. As you can see, it has a little hole here. You want to make sure that that hole lines up with this right here. This should be facing outward. Okay, now let's go ahead and reinstall the strut assembly. So just like that. You're gonna go ahead and put a washer on it. Go ahead and keep adding all the nuts. Okay, so pretty much I have all the nuts started here. Okay, got all the nuts here started. Okay, and then as you can see the strut, you see the direction right here, the strut. It should be going straight up, straight up, straight up. And it should fall in line, okay? This is how you know it's installed correctly. You want to have everything in line here. Now we're just gonna go ahead, tighten these down. Okay, and then we'll probably start positioning the bottom mount as well. We'll get that jack and start jacking it up a little bit till the bottom mount falls in line. We'll put the bolt through it, and that should be it for this side. Okay, so I pretty much got the jack, lifted up the jack a little bit, just enough to push this this lower mount, just enough to push it up and line the bolt down here. Okay, so you want to go ahead and attach the nut to the back of this bolt. Okay, now you want to go ahead and tighten this bolt, but don't tighten it up completely just yet. We'll go back up top of here. We're gonna go ahead and tighten these all the way. Okay, so let's run these 3 down, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so we went ahead and tightened all these 3 bolts. I'm gonna leave this bolt loose for now. Okay. But what we gotta do now is we gotta preload the suspension. Okay. Another thing before we do that, you wanna make sure that you grab your sway bar and you wanna pull it up. You wanna start pulling it up, because once you start jacking it up, it's gonna be in your way. Okay, as far as the sway bar end link, if you want, you can use a jack to push it back up. Okay, just in case if you're having a hard time, just grab your jack and push it up. Okay, so while you're preloading the suspension, as you're lifting it up, you want to go ahead and slide in your sway bar end links. Okay, make sure you do this before you continue. Okay, you might have to lift it or lower it just to get the bolt to go in. You can go ahead and tighten this down all the way. Okay, it's going to be an 18 millimeter. On both sides, it'll be an 18. One with a wrench and one with a ratchet. Okay, so we pretty much got our bar link in. We got it nice and tightened down. Now we're going to go ahead and actually preload the suspension on both sides. I have done this. The only bolt you should have loose right now is this bolt right here. This should be technically the only bolt you have loose. This bolt and then your sway bar mount bolts, those are the only ones that should be loose at this point. So now we're going to go ahead and jack up the truck and get some preload. We're going to preload this suspension real quick. We already have the suspension off of the jacks, as you can see, on both sides. Go ahead and tighten your lower mount down here. Tighten on both sides. You're going to be tightening them down to 99 foot-pounds. Once you go ahead and torque that down, go ahead and tighten down your sway bar mount bolts as well if you loosen them up. Okay, so you want to go ahead and tighten those up. I don't have a torque spec for those, but just get them nice and tight. Do it on both sides. Okay, once you got both sides done and you got your lower bolt torqued down, you just want to go ahead and mount your tires. And once you get your tires mounted, go ahead and remove your jacks. And that's pretty much it. Okay, and as you can see, mine actually went up a little bit. The reason why is because mine were blown out. Okay, they were cracked really. As you can see, it lifted up the front end a little bit for the fact that they were blown out. Okay, so that's pretty much it.